Okay, hi everybody. My name is Sarah, and we've got Tiffany and Alyssa and all of your beautiful faces on. Tonight, we are going to go over just for a little while some tips about how to find, how to talk to, and how to kind of seal the deal with potential distributors. We're going to talk about that for just a little bit, and then we're just going to do it because we could talk till the cows come home, but nothing's going to make our paycheck increase better than actions. Okay, so I guess, well, what I was thinking first, I guess I have one thing for you guys to do first, and as you're doing it, you can just kind of listen and we'll give a few tips. So the first thing is go ahead and make a post. Is that what we want? Wanted to make a post real quick about, okay, so this post can either be Facebook, Instagram, both, and you're just going to share your story, whether you've been in for a day or for 5 years. You have a story. It's powerful. It's not like anybody else's, and people relate to it. So if you've been in for a day or a week or a month, you might not think you have a story, but you do because you joined. You did the best part of this business is joining. So go ahead and share why you joined. Share, let's see, I wrote stuff down because mom brain up in here. um, so why did you join? What were some of your fears or excuses? How long did it take you to join? I know some people it took I saw Erica on here. It took about a year of me talking off and on to her. What finally clicked in your brain? And then what are you looking forward to? And then obviously, if you've been in for a while, then you can share some of the things that It Works has done for you. But for you brand new people that you think you haven't even gotten a paycheck yet, you haven't even gotten your first loyal customer, that is okay. You joined for a reason. So go ahead and post on your Facebook or on your Instagram real quick, like why you joined, what you want to see this company do, what were some of your fears and excuses, because people are going to be scrolling through your feed and they're going to see the same fears and excuses that they have, and they're going to want to know more. What finally made you want to jump in? Apologize in advance if you hear my baby crying. He's
No,
teething.
you're good. Hearing other people's stories and hearing your stories they're so relatable. Sorry, my eyes are killing me. But it's so relatable, and that's what's so important. And that's why you want to share your story. There is, I don't know, maybe it was Alyssa the one time that said, write your story down in your notes and just tweak that over and over and over again and share your story several different type of ways, because your story is what your audience is going to relate to you. You being busy, hearing the fact, I haven't always been at home. When I started this business, I work 60 plus hours a week. 90% of my news feed still works. So they need to hear that my story, I am not just sitting back in my couch in my PJs all the time working. They need to hear how I first started. So if you are in this, like Sarah said, think of, why did you join? Is it because maybe you don't have that success story yet, but why did you join? Do you want to come home to your babies? Do you want extra, money in your savings account? Do you want to be able to take your children to Disneyland? Share your wants. And if you really are drawing that much of a blank, grab someone else's success story and lean on their story. Share their story until you have a success story. So I don't know if everyone on here did get a paycheck today. We may have some brand spanking newbies, but if you did, this would be a great way to incorporate, your little glimpse of, blurred out, obviously, portion of your paycheck and incorporate that into your story, how you never imagined that you could work from your cell phone, making crazy income, and you can incorporate that into your post. So if y'all want to just spend the next 5 minutes doing that,
Yeah.
and get that up.
Since I just shared my story earlier, I'm going to keep talking while other people write theirs. Just to reiterate this, you're going to tell your story over and over and over and over and over again, and you're going to feel repetitive. You're going to feel like everyone's heard your story a million times. You're going to feel like your story's not cool, or that it hasn't changed enough, or that your success story hasn't grown enough. People are not going to read every time you post your story. They're not even going to see it most of the time that you post your story. So you have to keep doing it, because the other thing I'm sure that they're going to talk about is growing your network. If you're constantly either adding friends or Instagram followers, those people have not seen your story. So find different ways to share it, but some of it is just repetitive because it's just your story and that's what it is. And it's not going to change that much. So just know that that's normal. It's okay to just use kind of the same content over and over again.
And there's sometimes on Instagram that I will scroll back a few weeks back and just grab a story that I've already done and just repost it with a totally different picture and maybe tweak a little bit of the words depending on, if I'm talking about Monday, Tuesday, Friday, whatever day we're on. So I use the same story a lot of times, but just like Alyssa said, you always are gaining new followers, and not everyone is going to see your story every single time. So it's so important to share your story when you're trying to recruit, because it's not that people just wake up and go, I think I'm going to do network marketing. That just sounds super fun. They fall in love with you and they really want what you have. And they want that happiness that you are, they can feel through the computer and through the phone. So you have to really, truly let them know how stinking exciting it is working from your cell phone and making money from your cell phone and helping others and, all the fun and cool things that it's doing for y'all. So, okay.
And I'm not saying this is going to happen every time that you share your story, but I get a lot of the times that I share my story, I get at least one person, whether it was somebody that I was previously talking to, and they're finally like, wait a minute, okay, tell me more. So they'll reach out to me and ask me to tell them more. Or I get people that I didn't even know they were watching, they were seeing my post. They don't like, they don't comment, but they'll reach out and say, wait, what is this? So like I said, I'm not going to guarantee that happens every time, but the more you post and the more you share your story, because people know you, they want to hear your story. The more you share that, the more people are going to see that and reach out to you as well. Obviously, we still reach out to people, and that will be later that we'll talk about. But yeah, that's just something that I know that it's not like pointless to share my story. And I haven't done it as often, but I used to actually do it every Sunday because a lot of the times that's when people are going to work on Monday. They're kind of begrudgingly, they don't want to go to work. Sometime on Sunday, usually towards the evening, I would just pop up a post about my story. And a lot of the times it would get interest. People would be interested from that. So it's always kind of a nice way to gain people's interests.
Okay, so I'm kind of going to jump from the messages really quick. We'll come back to those because I do want to talk really quick while we're on it about your hundreds list and adding people, and then we can go into the messages. But one of the biggest questions I get is, where are you finding these people? Like, how do you build your hundreds list daily? How are you always having someone to message? Because I do message so many stinking people that people always ask me, well, how can you literally message, close to 100 people a day? Like, where are you finding these people? And it's because I'm always adding to my hundreds list. I'm always adding to my social media. And the ways that I'm doing this, for one, now that we have stories, you can actually go and you can view who has viewed your stories. And if you don't know how to do that, let me know and we can go over that. But you go and you can view who has viewed your story, and I'll add them. If they've literally looked at, if I have 8 stories up that day and they've literally watched every single one of them, they're pretty interested in what I'm doing. So I will add them to my hundreds list of somebody that I need to engage with and message. People that constantly like my posts, I'm going to add them to my hundreds list. people that may comment on stuff. Maybe, their brand spanking new. Maybe I just added them to my social media, added them to my my network, and I just really like them. Like, you just look at people and you just click with them. Sometimes I just get straight on a profile, but I want to engage with them for a little bit. So I immediately add them to my hundreds list then, versus them going through and seeing any of my stuff, because I know that I want to really target that particular person. So those are my main 3 ways of adding people to my hundreds list, not necessarily growing your social media. I'll tell you how I do that in just a second. But those are my 3 go-to ways of adding to my hundreds list. Do you have any, Sarah?
I'm sorry, I was looking at messages. Did you say the one where going to the people following you on Instagram? Did you bring that up?
No, I didn't do that.
To add to my hundreds list, I go to my Instagram followers. I know some people do following. I think I just do followers because I know that they're hopefully seeing my stuff. And it just depends on the day. Sometimes I start at the top because those are the most recent people, and I'll interact with them and add them to my hundreds list as I interact with them. Or sometimes I look at where I stopped on my hundreds, because I like to write the date. So I wrote today's date, and then I wrote down everybody that I added to my hundreds list today, because I interacted with them today, and then I wrote them down on my hundreds list. So sometimes I'll start off like from yesterday where I left off, and I'll go to that name on my list and then start going down from there on my followers. I hope all this makes sense. It makes sense in my brain. If it doesn't, feel free to send me a message and be like, what in the heck were you talking about? But I found, for me personally, there's been a lot of different ways that I've tried to add to my hundreds list. And that one personally for me has been the most effective, because I'll write down today's date on my piece of paper and start interacting with people on my followers, and then write their name down as I'm interacting with them. And then I even Tiffany was talking, well, I guess that was just to me, she was talking about it, but I'll write down a little blurb like boy mom or pregnant, like the type of, obviously I'm following people that have kids and then are pregnant, because that's kind of my stage. I'm not pregnant, but that's my stage of life with like having a baby. So yeah, that's how I add to my hundreds list for the most part currently.
So, Alyssa, do you have anything?
Yeah, I was just going to throw out there that to just really simplify recruiting, if people could just learn to grow their network and add to their list, message their list, and follow up with their list, and just do those 3 things, you could cut out almost every other thing that we teach you and be successful in this business. And like starting last fall, that's what I started doing. And I was I was a good recruiter before that, but that was the best thing I ever did, was like, okay, posting is last priority, like sharing your story is great, doing all of that is great. But if you would flip flop your day to day and be like, okay, these are the 3 things I have to do. I have to add people to my list, I have to message people from my list, and I have to follow up with my list. You're going to have to grow your network to be able to add people to your list. So those 2 kind of mix together. But seriously, y'all, if you could just take 30 minutes to an hour every day and focus on those things, you wouldn't need 10 hours a day. The reason that a lot of us feel like we need more time is because we're doing all those other things too. And those things are important, but they're not as important as actually planting the seeds, following up with the people, and having the conversations. So this is kind of tough love, but if you're not happy with your recruiting right now or the people you're putting in the computer, think about how much time you're spending adding to your list and messaging your list and following up with your list, and how much time you're spending on other areas of your business too. And if you don't build on social media, obviously this might look different for you, but tonight we're mainly focusing on social media, I believe.
Yeah. So I have a small task for everyone, because this is how we add to our social media now. So how are we finding new people? And we're just going to talk about the organic way, because there's apps and whatnot, but we're not going to get into any of that. We're just going to talk about the hardcore nitty gritty, how to find them organically. And if you had to right now write number 1 through 5 and give me 5 things that describe you. For example, boy mom for me, infertility. I could do PCOS, terrified of spiders. 5 things that literally describe you. Coffee addict, that would be another one. Anywho, now turn those into hashtags. That's it. That's when I sit here and I say I search hashtags that relate to me, that's what I mean. Like, I'm literally searching hashtags that relate to me, hashtags that that pertain to my life, crazy toddler kid. Like, that's me. I'm going to relate to people that are boy moms out there that are getting extra gray hairs as a minute. I'm going to relate to those people versus like tons and tons of college kids. That's just not what I'm going to relate to. So think of those 5 things right now, write them down that describe you. And we're going to sit here and we're going to spend the next 10 minutes and you're just going to search these hashtags that relate to you and add people to your social media. First thing I want you to do, though, is I want you to go to each one of their profiles, make sure that they are not in social media or not in network marketing. So always make sure that you are checking that before or when you go to follow them. I also want you to like a couple photos, comment on one. Don't go get crazy. You don't have to do anything like 5 to 10 photos, but by just commenting on one and liking 2, you're popping up in their newsfeed 4 times because 1, you just requested to be their friend. 2 is likes. 1 is comments. So most of the time, they will instantly follow you right back because they want to know who this girl is that's already engaging with them. So it's an automatic win. So we are going to, it is 8:50, right at 9, we'll come back. So
if you're doing mainly on Facebook, I heard this tip on a YouTube video I was watching earlier. A lot of us get put into groups on Facebook that we don't necessarily want to be in, and they don't ask us if we want to be in them, and you get thrown in them, and then you start seeing notifications. Well, go to those groups, not necessarily network marketing groups, but any other like shopping boutique type things. A lot of times those are places that you can find friends that you have things in common with. You can even go through some of the comments on those pages to see who's really actively engaged on some group pages, see who's purchasing things, if it's a boutique, because those people are spending money online. So think about, obviously, you don't want to cold friend request a ton of people, but 2 or 3 here and there with people that you don't have mutual friends with isn't always a bad idea to kind of break into new friends groups on Facebook. And the nice thing is when you send someone a friend request that's in a group that you're in, it says also a member of whatever. So even if you don't have mutual friends, at least they know that you have something in common.
Another thing on Instagram, it's brand new. You can actually follow hashtags. So I basically, all the hashtags that I've accumulated for myself, I follow those. And so they pop up in my newsfeed sometimes. So I'm not even having to search them anymore. I can just click on it. Maybe that person that popped up in my feed, I can go ahead and add them, like their stuff. But I can also find other people really quick when they pop up in my feed too. And if y'all have any questions along the way, you can put them in the chat or unmute yourself. Okay, I'm going to start putting some messages in the chat. So you're going to start seeing some messages come through, and we'll go over those in just a second.
I'll do that too.
Oh, they kind of run together. Oops.
Yeah, you kind of have to like click out of the chat or something and then go back to it. I don't know. It's
And then back.
and
So
then back to
crazy.
it and then paste. I don't know. It's okay though. It's still
Yeah, I can just copy the whole thing and then edit it.
You can kind of see where they start. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah, no, you can totally see it because there's categories. And I'll copy these so that we have them for the recording.
Okay, perfect. And one more. Okay. Okay, so there really is no right or wrong message. The next 15 minutes we're going to do this, but let me just talk to you a little bit about messages, because I think sometimes we get in our own head and it takes us like 20 minutes to come up with a message to send someone when you could have sent 20 people a message. I mean, it's just, you've got to stop overthinking it, because it's really, truly very simple. If they were sitting right in front of you, what would you say to these people? So I put a couple up, and then Sarah will go over hers. People that have said no. I know this one's kind of a follow-up message, and I'll get into it, but basically, you just reaching out to them and saying, babe, I know you said no previously, but I really can't stop thinking about you. You truly would be remarkable. Something super sweet. But it gives you a chance to reach out to people. Someone you're scared to message, someone on your chicken list. I've been so nervous to message and bother you. I pray this message doesn't bother you. I put bother twice, but anywho. I pray this message doesn't bother you. However, I really think that you could excel so fast within this industry, and I would love to set up a call if you're open to learning more. Like, you're not being pushy. You're not being, a pest. You're simply just being very honest with them, telling them that you have been very nervous to message them, but you would love to chat. Super simple. People that are on the fence. I know you're nervous. I get it. I was also, but seriously, what if it does work? I happen to know this really awesome chick who would love to partner up with you, not naming any names, laugh out loud. How about you let me show you how this company can truly change your life? Super simple. Make it fun. A no risk message. This is really, in all honesty, 90% of what I send to people. And what I've really been sending to people since sometime last fall. Something along the lines of, I know this is so random and I truly pray this message doesn't bother you. However, you popped in my feed today and I couldn't help but creep on your news feed. Gosh, girl, you really would rock this business I'm in. Have you ever thought of making extra income from your social media? Anywho, thanks for keeping my feed so upbeat and positive. You're basically plastering your question in the middle of it and then following the next sentence with tons and tons of compliments about their newsfeed. You can even personalize it at the very end to that particular person, and just do, P.S. your dog is so stinking adorable. P.S. where did you get that dress you had on in your last photo? Relate your message somehow to their newsfeed so that they know that this is not a copy-paste message. They know that you legit went to their page, looked at their page, you really crept on their Facebook or their Instagram page, just like you said. They know that you did that. So by adding a smidge of something personal in it, makes them, they just know that it's a genuine message. And it's one that's really, truly worked for me a lot. People come back, and even if they just say, oh my God, thank you, that was so sweet, it opens up the conversation so that we can start talking back and forth. So those are my messages.
Mine are pretty similar-ish. I just, I'll just go in. So like usually I started out with like, hey mama, or their friend. Sometimes I say like, hey girl, but I like to be personal. This one's been working really well. It might just be timing, might be the Holy Grail message. I don't know. But this might seem a little out of the blue. I love seeing your name pop up in my notifications and seeing your support on my mommy journey. I love watching yours too, and all of that fun travel. Like I like to relate to, you know, whatever they've been doing in their last several posts or whatever. This has been on my heart for a while, and I'm having a moment of bravery because this is kind of out of my comfort zone since we've never really talked about what I do. I like to use that one, especially for people that I've never talked to about the business or talked to about products or anything like that. It seems less cold messagey because I'm being genuine about it. Because it does make me a little bit nervous to like say, hey, you'd be a rock star at what I do, even though we've never talked about it before. So yeah, it's kind of out of my comfort zone since we've never really talked about what I do, but I just have to tell you, it'd be amazing. At what I do. Have you ever thought about making some extra money from your phone? You can leave that question off if you want. If you want to just leave it, a no risk message is basically not really asking them a question. It's just saying you'd be amazing at what I do. You'd be a rock star at what I do at the end instead of asking a question. But lately I just like asking a question just because I would say it warrants a response a little bit more than not asking a question, but you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And one big thing that I just want to say, like, whether you're, you have like a faith journey, whether you're at the beginning of your faith journey, something that has been really important to my business is praying every single day. Not perfect at it, so there are days that I don't. But I specifically notice the days that I do pray, even if it's something as simple as, Lord, just give me some wins today. Give me something to be excited about today. If I pray, each day that I pray there, something happens. I don't always get an enrollment or, you know, a bunch of distributors, but I start a good conversation, or somebody responds to my message, or people like my post or comment on my post, you know, whatever. So I do just want to say that there is so much power in prayer. And if anybody ever wants to talk about that, I'm totally open to it. I love talking about faith. So just a little blurb about that. But my messages they've pretty much been pretty similar. I kind of use that same skeleton of like saying this is kind of random, but your name keeps popping up in my feed. Whether you see them as you scroll or whether they're in your notifications, they're liking your stuff. And then saying that it's kind of out of your comfort zone because we've never talked about this before, but you'd be amazing at what I do. Have you ever thought about making some extra money from your phone? So I also like to relate, like, you know, we're following people that we relate to. So I like to relate to like their baby, or, you know, like Tiffany said, their dog or their outfit. And then just one like short and sweet one, like, Caroline, I know this is so super random, but I've been wanting to message you ever since we talked the other day, because sometimes when you respond to people's like Instagram stories or you comment on their Facebook post or somehow you end up in their messages, you don't talk about stuff about the business, which is totally fine. I think that's an amazing way to just jump into some sort of conversation. So the way that I've been following up with that and kind of sticking the business into it is just saying, you've been on my heart since we were talking the other day about XYZ, and I just wanted to tell you, be so amazing at what I do. You know, have you ever thought about making some money from your phone? Or you don't have to ask the question if you want to do a no risk. But yeah, those have been the basic ones that I've done. So what you guys can do is just copy and paste these into your notes, and it's really easy to just grab your hundreds list like we were just talking about and message 10, 15, 20 people within a 30-minute time span. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to spend 15 minutes, give or take. messaging people from our hundreds list.
If y'all get lost on what to say, I mean, they pretty much gave you the same messages that I use. But if you get really like caught up in what to say what you're actually thinking. Like if you are terrified of messaging that person, just say that. You don't have to pretend that you've got something, some sort of confidence that you don't have. You just have to do it. But you can do it scared. So, if you want to be like, hey, I don't want to be awkward. Hey, I'm terrified. I mean, just say whatever it is. If you had a couple of glasses of wine or just an insane amount of courage, what would you be saying to that person? And that's what you start your message with. Because I get tons of people that say no, that ignore me, that say no, thank you, but most of the time when someone responds to me, they say, oh, don't be silly. You never have to be nervous to message me. Or they say, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Like, I'm not interested, blah, blah, blah. But it is so much easier to hear no when it's followed with, but you don't have to be scared to message me, or that was really sweet. So, make it your own, use your own personality with the messages. They gave you lots of templates, but change it up to sound like you if you need to.
One other little small tip I do before I message people, it's kind of the same thing when I go to follow them. I'm going to go to their page and I'm going to like 3 or 4 photos, comment on one, and then message. And then that way they know that I legit went to their profile. So that's just something that's been working for me. And then it makes me, again, check out their profile to make sure nothing's changed. That they didn't like go and jump off the cliff into, something else, another network marketing company, because I don't want to be that person. So Okay, so really quick while my kid ran out and it's quiet. So the next thing that we're going to do are follow-ups. And in the midst of going through follow-ups, like when I'm starting, what I do is I go to my messages on Instagram. So let me backtrack, because the first thing I do actually is I look at my planner, and I actually write down. I give people dates. So if somebody's like, well, I don't know, maybe I should, or I need to wait until next week sometime. I said, I will tell them, okay, well, would you rather me follow up with you on Tuesday or Thursday? So I'm not asking them or just writing down next week. Like, I'm literally asking them what day they want me to follow up with them. And most people, you would be surprised, most people come back and give you a day. So you legit have a day to write down their name on your planner. So that's kind of what I do. And I will write them down. However, there's sometimes, especially this month in particular, when life is super crazy, that I forget to write someone down. And I will be scrolling through my Instagram to try to find people to follow up with, and I'll miss someone that I did not write down. So first steps first, if you have people written down, we're going to follow up with those people. Then we're going to go and actually start just scrolling through your Instagram messages or scrolling through your Facebook messages and see who you need to follow up with. I don't get super crazy with my follow-ups. Like, I'm really short and sweet. Like, hey, happy, well, I wouldn't say happy Monday because we're in the evening now, but hey, I hope you had a good Monday. I just wanted to check in. Super sweet. I'm at my computer inputting a few orders. Hold on, bud. I'm inputting a few orders. Would you like me to help you get your cleanse order in? There's some days that I will literally just follow up, because if I've been on a follow-up rampage with them, I'll just check in maybe tomorrow morning, depending on who they are, and just say, hey, I just wanted to say happy Tuesday. I really hope you have a good day. And I don't mention anything at all about the business or about the product, whatever I'm following up with them with. But I just am basically just creating that conversation. As you are scrolling through your messages, only on Instagram, because this does not work on Facebook, as you are scrolling through those messages and you happen to come across a message that you sent that has not been seen, you can copy that message, unsend it, and resend it. And that way it pops back up into their news feed. So I'm kind of like double dipping when I do follow-ups. I'm like re-putting those messages back into their news feed on top of sending follow-ups. Amber, do you have a question? Your hand shows raised. Hold on. I don't think I can unmute her though. I don't know, maybe.
I'm not sure. It might have been an accident. I clicked the wrong hand.
All right.
You should be able to unmute.
Do you want to share your follow-up, Sarah?
For at least as far as
you were muted for a little bit. I just unmuted you.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Well, too bad you didn't hear it. No, I'm kidding. So what I have been doing a lot lately, especially as far as distributors go, people that I already talked to about the business, a lot of the times, so this is what a lot of the girls on my team have been saying. People just stop responding. People don't respond like to their first message. So they're like, what am I doing wrong? First of all, you sending the message in general, you're not doing anything wrong. What you're doing wrong is not following up with them. And so what I have been saying is I typically say something like, hey, I hope my last message didn't offend you or annoy you. I think you would be absolutely amazing at what I do. It's very much like Alyssa said, like what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, I tell them. You'd be amazing at what I do. I can't wait to help you come home to Ryder. Like, I'm talking with a girl that her son's name is Ryder. I can't wait to help you come home to Ryder. is that something that's still been on your heart or something that's still been on your mind? You don't have to be like, do you still want to make money with me? You can make it as simple as like, whatever they told you their dream was, or whatever they have, like, if somebody talks about wanting to quit their job all the time, you can say that. Are you still wanting to quit your job? Are you still wanting a second? And are you still wanting more money? Are you still wanting to travel more? Just think about those questions, and those are just easy ones to pop at the end, because it's not being so direct, I guess, and being like, do you still want to do this with me? Do you want to, like, you can say that, because I've said that before too, but I like to use I hope my last message didn't offend you. Like, I hope me reaching out to you didn't offend you or annoy you. I never want to sound weird or spammy, but I genuinely love following you. Do you still want to come home to Ryder, or something like that? Something what you've already talked about in the conversation.
Yeah, I think I always try to ask them a question that it's hard for them to say no to. So instead of saying, like you said, do you still want to join me to make extra money? Well, no, they really don't care if they join you at all, but they do want to make extra money. So how can you word it in a way that they're either going to say yes or they're going to lie? Because if you say, do you still want to stay home with your son? Chances are she didn't change her mind about that. She may have changed her mind about maybe doing network marketing, but she's going to have to give you more of an explanation, because she can't just say no, because that'd be weird.
Yeah. Like,
no, then she's lying. So try to ask a question that is a little bit harder for them to say no to. And it's the same reason we tell you guys, like, when you're talking to a potential, always ask a question, because otherwise you give them a way out to just ignore you. So, always ask question, but think about the question that you're asking and whether or not it's an easy one for them to say no to or yes to.
Yeah. And I'm super like in my feelings lately. So I want to like touch people's hearts. So I just like asking questions that I'm like, I feel like this is going to go directly to their heart, not in a manipulative way at all, but just in a way that like we want to be genuine. And I've found that when I say that, like, I hope I didn't offend you, people are like, oh no, not at all. They don't want you to think that you offended them. So it's just a way to just kind of get them to respond.
I got a message that says, if someone ghosts you, how do you follow up from your previous message, or how soon do you try to follow up? I think it really kind of just depends on the conversation, because like I've had people where they we're having a back and forth conversation and they're super interested, and all of a sudden they just fall off the face of the earth. And I really do a lot of what Sarah just did. I think it's very important during that conversating part of things to find out what they do now and to find out about them, because that's how you can follow up with them. That's how you can jump back into that conversation and literally say, hey, it's me. I just want to know, do you still want to come home to your child? Or, you know what I mean? Like, just be very personal with it, because just like Sarah said, they can't, what are they going to do? Tell you no? Like, they're going to have to get a little bit more detailed of their excuse of why they don't want to. But that really goes back to being personal. Like, you have to be personal when you are conversating with these people. A lot of times I will ask them at the very end of my conversation, well, what do you do right now? And if they tell me they're interested in making money, I like to ask them, would a couple hundred make you happy? Or would, a couple thousand be something that would make, everything easier? And then, just filling them out, seeing what they say. A lot of times people will just give you the information that, a couple hundred could really help us out with groceries, or it could really just pay the daycare, or, gosh, if I could have a couple thousand, that means I could come home. Like, they literally will start answering the questions for you that you would be asking them, and write that down next to their name, because when you do message so many people, it's easy to get it so stinking confused of who is who. So write that little tidbit next to them. Jennifer wants to come home to her baby. Sarah just wants, extra grocery money, so that you can keep up with your potentials and you know them, so that when it does come time and they do ghost you, because that happens to all of us, that you have that leverage to follow up with.
Yeah. And then just one more thing. Obviously, when you're messaging people, utilize your sponsor, utilize any team chats that you're in, because you're going to get no responses. I'm not interested. That's not for me. I already tried it. It didn't work for me. I hear it doesn't work. All these different no's. And literally, we have responses to every single one of those types of responses. So if you're giving up right when they say their no response, you are giving up way too soon. Like, you don't have to raise your hand, but I would love to see a show of hands for who had one of those types of responses when their sponsor first reached out to them, whether it was a year ago, 5 years ago. And did your sponsor give up on you? No. So we can't give up on people and say, like, okay, they're not interested, and go run scared in the corner. That's not believing in them. That's not showing them what this business really can do for them. That's not doing them any favors. And obviously it's not doing you any favors, because you're getting discouraged, you're going to get burnt out, and it's not going to be fun. So use your sponsor, use your side sisters, use people in your chats that you're in. We have to help each other. We have to use each other. So that's just it. Do we just want to do like 10 minutes of follow-up sending, or do we want to save that for another time?
I'm good with it. I mean, I know we're running long, but.
Well, I have a couple of tips I'd like to give, and then maybe what we'll do is stop the recording, and then we can stay on and just follow up, and if people need to add to their list or whatever you are lacking in as far as signing distributors, you can take the last 10 or 15 minutes. I know that we're about to go over, so if you need to jump off, you can, but if you want to stay on and kind of get a head start for tomorrow's goals for your recruiting, then you can definitely stay on with us. So some of these things have already been touched on, but one of the things that I think helps me in recruiting is that I'm not so desperate to sign a distributor today, because I still know that I'm going to be here tomorrow and next week and next month and next year. So a lot of times when I'm talking to someone, I use urgency, but at the same time, if they are like a hard no, or like they just cannot do it right now, I don't try to talk them out of it. Like, yes, there are some people that give you excuses, and we say, help them overcome their excuses. We're all scared. We're all nervous. We all didn't have the money. But at some point you have to be like, girl, it's totally fine. I'm going to be here when you're ready to get started, no matter what. And a lot of people join me. I mean, my last couple of distributors have watched me for a couple of years. And it's because I just was like, I'm not going anywhere. So you take your time. And sometimes it's not going to take them a couple years. Like, there are, my most recent people have taken a while, but there's some people that I'm like, look, do what you need to. I'll be here when you're ready. And sometimes they'll come back a couple days later. They are like so attracted to the fact that I didn't desperately need them to join. I want to help them get started in the business, to help them reach their own goals. So sometimes, like, take a deep breath and be like, okay, like, have a longer term vision for your business, because most of you didn't join in the first day or even first couple weeks or months that you knew that this business was a thing. Maybe your sponsor hadn't reached out to you, but how long from the day that you saw it work to the day you actually joined? So try to like have that commitment. Some of recruiting just comes from commitment and knowing that you're going to be here. So that's not a tip. That's not something I can give you. That's something that you just kind of have to mentally decide. And then, like I said, dealing with excuses. Like, there are excuses that you can help people through, like the I'm too busy, I'm nervous, I'm scared people won't buy from me. I know people that do it. I mean, there's a list of all of these things that most people have to overcome at least one of them. So those things are things that you need to get help with from your sponsor, or get on the team page, see examples of how people deal with those excuses and help them overcome those. So just know that if you were to sit here tonight and send out 100 messages, out of the people that respond, so, I mean, if you're lucky, I don't know, maybe 25, 30 respond. Maybe if you're really good first messenger, maybe 50 of them respond. Out of those 50, probably 45 are going to give you an excuse in the first 3 or 4 messages. They're going to tell you a reason that they don't think they can do it. That's normal. We all get that, but yet some of us are still signing distributors. So a lot of times it's what you do with that excuse that either turns them into a strong potential or just lets them slip through the cracks. Because what a lot of newer distributors do is someone says, I'm just too busy for something like that. And you just say, okay, well, just let me know if something changes. They're not ever going to get less busy, and they're never going to message you. They're never going to let you know. So you have to be willing to say, look, there's lots of busy people that do this. That's why I messaged you in the first place. I think you'd be great at it. If I could show you how to do this, would you ever even be open to it? And just to kind of like keep your foot in the door. That's all I'm trying to do with people's excuses is just say, okay, I understand, but just think about this for a little while. I don't expect them to turn around and join that night or say, you're right, I'm not that busy, let me join. But they might at least think about it. And then they might see my story, which is why we often post our story, because they might see that over and over, and eventually it clicks with them. So if you ever say, like, let me know, and you guys have probably seen me post that on the page, do not say let me know, because they will not let you know. And when you say that, you have just told them that they have to be less busy, or they have to be less scared, or they have to be more outgoing to join the business. If you say let me know, they think that something has to change in them for them to be able to say yes. Hopefully that makes sense. And then I also think sometimes we do these recruiting Zooms and people feel like it's so much information. There's so many things I have to do, and there's so many things I have to learn. You don't have to learn how to do anything except for just be a nice person that cares about helping other people do well in a business. Even if you don't know everything about the business or how to make money, a lot of my conversations are more about the person than it is about the business. Like my first 10 messages, all of my questions towards them might be like, what do you do for a living? What are you in school for? You know, what would be your goal if you join this? What's your family like? Where do you live? Like a lot of it is like, here's a little information on the business. Now tell me about you. Here's a little more information on the business. Now tell me more about you. It's not really scary. And if you feel stuck in a conversation, the safest thing you can do is just ask about them. Until your sponsor gets back to you, until you get help with the conversation, just ask them. People feel like the most important person in the room if you will just ask them questions. It also makes it easier to follow up with them and to build that relationship with them. I mean, I have people that have joined the business and that have quit the business that are still like, I mean, we're still friends, we're connected because it started that way. It was never all business. It was always like, who are you as a person? Do I even want to work with you? Because we get to be picky in this business. We actually get to see if we want to work with someone. So don't get so overwhelmed with the what exactly do I say and how do I deal with their excuses and when do I follow up and how do I follow up. More so just get the conversation started and just be nice and be you and use your personality. And if you're funny and you're sarcastic, do that. And you're going to attract the funny, sarcastic people. You're going to attract people that are like you. And if you're super shy, that's fine too. You're still probably a nice person if you're on this team. So just use that to your advantage. And then lastly, and a lot of people usually need to hear this, is that your story, wherever you've been stuck, no matter what level you're at, if you think you're good or you're awful at recruiting, whatever it is, that shouldn't hold you back from sharing this business. You don't have to be an amazing leader to get someone started in this business. You don't have to know everything to train someone to do well, because everything that someone needs in this business is already there for them. If you were to quit tomorrow, someone that joined you could be successful with or without your help. So you have to be confident that even though your story might not be where you want it to be, that shouldn't keep you from sharing this opportunity with someone else. You could sign someone tomorrow that blows past you in 2 months and they outrank you, and that would be amazing. So don't hold yourself back from sharing the opportunity with people because you don't feel confident in the opportunity. Because it's not that you're not confident in the opportunity, you're not confident in yourself right now. So use someone else's, use your sponsors. That's why you got to get on calls and on Zooms, and you have to get to events, because you have to hear other people's stories and see what this business has done for other people. And that will grow a confidence in you to keep sharing it with other people. But you have a gift, and just because you aren't where you want to be doesn't mean that you can't share that gift. So that's all. Okay, so if anyone else has anything they want to share, anything else they want to ask, if Tiffany, Sarah, if you guys had anything else you want to share, feel free. And then we will, whoever wants to stay on and work for a little bit can most definitely do that.
That was pretty much it for me. The only thing I had written down was just know what you have your hands on, but you touch base on a whole lot of it. I mean, y'all just, I know at times we get super scared to message certain people, and it's all in your mind. It truly, truly is. But if you just know what you have your hands on, and you know the opportunity that you can offer someone, and you just don't know, you have no idea. I think this was said at Green Carpet maybe, or no, it was maybe on Pam Zoom. I don't remember, but she said the lady next to you at Target literally may have $10 left in her account. That's all that she could probably have in her account. And how dare you rob her of that opportunity? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you just look at everyone like that, then, and just look at the opportunity that you can bless someone with, then it's not hard. There's no magic in it. Just share what you have your hands on, and try to bless as many stinking people as you possibly can. And that's all I had.
This is something that Alyssa told me, like, back when I started messaging people that I didn't know from Instagram, because I was scared to do it. And I mean, I still get nervous about it. Like, I have to voice message Katie or like somebody on the team and be like, I need to boost the confidence, whatever. But something that she told me was, so what's the big deal? Something like this. But so what's the big deal if they don't respond, or if sad day they unfollow you? Is that affecting your life? Is that affecting your paycheck? Is that affecting your desire to be a stay-at-home mom, your desire to have, more finances to travel, to fill in the blank, whatever your why is? Does that really affect that? No, it doesn't. And that doesn't say that, like, we don't care about the people that are following us or anything like that. But it's kind of like the old whatever saying, like, if they're not adding value to your life, then don't straight up cut it off, like in a mean way. But it's just like, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. And like, when you finally reach whatever promotion or whatever financial milestone that you want to reach, you're not going to be like, dang it, I wish Susie hadn't have unfollowed me 9 months ago or whatever. It's not going to matter at all. So kind of put yourself in the mindset that you've already won that, whatever your dream is, whatever your why is. Put yourself in the mindset that you're already there, and think, are you really going to regret posting 3 times a day on Facebook? Are you really going to regret adding to your story every day, or messaging 10, 15, 20 people a day? No. You're not going to regret it. You're going to be so happy with where you are financially. You're going to be so happy with all the freedom of time that you have, with the fact that you get to quit your job. Think about when you get to go to your boss and you get to say, hey, I'm going to put in my 2 weeks, and whatever. Think about what that feeling is going to feel like, and then send out 20 messages because that's going to motivate you. Like, put yourself in your why. You've already accomplished it. You're putting your 2 weeks notice in. You're booking that trip to Disney World. You're paying for that new car. You're buying that new house. Whatever it is, put yourself there now. Put yourself there tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day. And send out those messages, because you're going to feel fearless. Yeah, right, that was.
No, I love it. And I know Lindsay gave this tip on the team page last week. I see you over there. Look at me. You have to work and act and message and post like the rank that you want to be, not like the rank that you are. So That means messaging with a confidence that maybe you don't even fully have yet, or thinking about what it's going to feel like to be able to walk into your job and say that, and you message with that kind of motivation and inspiration in you. And it's the same thing with posting. Like, we're not please do not make up a success story that you do not have and claim it to be your own. Okay. Like, don't talk about it works paying for all the stuff that it's not paying for yet. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you have to have that confidence in what this business can do for you. And then you have to message like you're already there. You have to talk to people like you're already there, that you know that they can do this. Because, and again, it all comes down to getting involved and getting to events and hearing all of these stories. Because the more you see all the different people that make a killing in this company, the more you believe that seriously anyone can do it. And that just comes from being involved and staying plugged in. Like, I can think of a success story for every type of person ever, like someone that was homeless, someone that was a doctor, someone that's a nurse, someone that's a teacher. Like, I can come up just from being involved and staying plugged in and getting on the show me the money calls and all of that stuff. It piles up over time. It's hard to like really like say what about getting to conference and what about getting on calls really changes your business. But I think that's what it is. It just grows that confidence in you. So that way, when you're talking to people, you can wholeheartedly say, if you're willing to work and learn, you can do this. And that's my line for people when they're nervous. I'm like, if you're willing to learn and ask questions and work with me and stay consistent, you can absolutely do it. Is everyone willing to do that? No. But I know that if they are willing to work, that they can do it, because I've seen enough other people less qualified than them to actually do it. So, all right, that's it. I am going to stop the recording. Thank you guys for getting on.